Welcome, everybody, to the LIPSEY'S Aim Higher podcast. I'm Rob Aberzino with LIPSEY'S, and we've got some really, really special guests here today. We've just embarked on this new project with the Special Operations Association, and we've got members and founders here, and we're going to talk about it. We've got Andrew Gore here. Product. Give me your exact title. Handgun
product manager. Smith Wesson.
You guys have seen him a lot lately. We've done a lot with Andrew. So we've got Doug Godshall. I want to get that right. Godshall.
You got it right, sir.
Okay. All right. Cool. And we have John Vislosky.
Perfect.
All right. Members of SOA right here. So I just wanted to introduce everybody, and we've got one or two more. We're going to get Ken, and we're going to get Jason over here in a minute. But I just want to start from the beginning, Andrew. You know, the genesis of this project that we're doing, kind of where it came from. It's the Ultimate Carry. You can give the model and specs real quick on that.
It's the 442 and the 432 Ultimate Carry in the UC, and it's the SOA edition.
Right. We've got the SOA logo on it. You guys can find it real easy on YouTube. You'll see it on our social media. All over the place right now, and it's the logo. It's got the SOA logo, which is really cool. It's got these beautiful green grips on it. It's got a gold bead front dot sight. Did I say that right? Front dot sight. Yeah. Okay.
Good.
So it's a really, really neat gun based on the success we had with the launch last year of the Ultimate Carry.
It's been a phenomenal success, that gun.
But this one's got another layer to it. This one's got some meaning behind it, and a charitable component to it that we were really excited about. So I'll let you get into it. I'll let you kind of tell the background story of how this began.
Sure. Well, when I first came to the US 11 years ago now, one of the gentlemen I bumped into very early on was John Mullins. And John Mullins had served in MACV-SOG in the Vietnam War, and John and I became friends over the years. And when I moved to Smith & Wesson, I was talking to John about, I'd love to do some projects linked to the Vietnam War to honor the veterans, and in particular MACV-SOG, just because these guys are legends.
Right.
And what they did was amazing, and I thought it'd be a fantastic thing if we could actually get it done.
Right.
So John said, well, I think the way to do this is to put you in touch with the Special Operations Association. And I said, well, who are they? And he said, well, they're the association for MACV-SOG. And so John put me in touch with Doug, the president of the SOA. And Doug then put me in touch with John, who handles their business development.
Right.
And so that's how it all sort of started. And that was, I guess, John, 2 years ago?
2, yep.
So it's, we can talk about there were some iterations we tried to do early on. We weren't quite happy. We wanted this project to be really, really excellent and a success from the word go. And we wanted to make sure we got it right.
Well, Doug, tell me a little bit about, we hear MACV-SOG. Let's talk a little bit about that. Maybe you can explain that a little bit further, what that is, and your role as you got involved with this project as well.
Thanks. MACV-SOG was a top-secret unit in the Vietnam War, mainly with 5th Group Green Berets doing reconnaissance missions, top secret, in places we weren't supposed to be.
Right.
Laos, Cambodia, North Vietnam. We were supported by incredible air support, and that air support, as well as some Marines and SEALs and other people who participated in these top secret projects, became what we now call the Special Operations Association, which was founded in the late 70s by a guy named Captain Jim Butler, who was a 1-0 war team leader, and he, with some other people from Fort Devens, where we had a group based, founded the Special Operations Association. We've had members going back far as Jedburgh in World War II, and including going forward are GWAT members from the Greater War, the worldwide war against terrorism in the last 20 years. We are a fraternal organization. We support our members when they're in need. We have a really outstanding scholarship program for the descendants of our members, and we meet once a year in a reunion in New Orleans. Our membership is strictly limited to people, to soldiers who can show they were in a unit who operated behind enemy lines, and they have to show that they operated behind enemy lines also. It's not just becoming part of the unit.
Right.
So we're very proud of our past. I'm proud of being a Green Beret. I'm proud of being a quiet professional. And I'm proud of the work that the SOA does with its families, friends, and scholarship recipients.
Yeah, that's fantastic. What are some of the contributions and the charitable things that you do? Obviously, like scholarships is one that you mentioned. I mean,
Sure.
I know there's a lot of different ways that you guys help the veterans.
We reach out when there's crises like the fire in Los Angeles, such as hurricanes, and we reach out and provide assistance. We reach out and provide assistance to those members of ours who are having money with the cost of pharmaceuticals. We reach out to our members who are having a lot of problems with their children and medical costs. So we're very charitable and beneficial towards people who are in need. We have a foundation and a website. We ask people, that those who think they have a need who are connected with our association, reach out, and our foundation will attempt to help them.
What is your website? Let's let everybody know.
It's specialoperationsassociation.org.
Okay.
And it's easily accessible. There's a member section that you don't have to worry about, but it's easily accessible and to the public.
That's fantastic. So you're the president?
I am. No one else showed up at the meeting, and I got elected president.
by default. Yeah, great. That's fantastic. John, so let's talk about you for just a minute. So how did you get involved in this? You're also retired veteran, and all Army guys, by the way, right? Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. That's what we talked about earlier. So how did you get involved, and kind of what's your role now? Let's expand on that a little bit.
Briefly, so I joined the SOA. I'm a former retired Special Forces team leader out of 5th Special Forces Group. So I was post-Vietnam.
Right.
But immediately post-Vietnam.
Right.
And as Doug talked, we have a lot of newer members coming in from the global war on terrorism.
Right.
I was just before that, so Cold War era, Gulf War era people.
Yeah.
And had not joined anything other than a Special Forces Association, which is strictly a Green Beret association.
Right.
And then I ran into some guys and said, hey, you should look at this SOA organization as well. And just fell in love with the guys because, interestingly enough, when I was in, a lot of these folks were senior non-commissioned officers and post-Vietnam non-commissioned officers and officers, but weren't allowed to talk about their mission in Vietnam. So we were getting this training kind of surreptitiously from them, but not really understanding what their even for us with our classified clearance, understanding what their background was. That's how secretive it was. And ever since I've been involved with the SOA, I've looked to volunteer more. And I would say 90% of the people involved in the board, Doug and myself, we're volunteers. It's not a paid position.
Right.
And Doug had asked me if I'd take on resource and business development for the organization and see what we could cultivate in terms of enhancing our membership. One of the things or benefits, if I can put a shameless promotion in for the SOA,
please,
is each year at our annual conference in New Orleans, at the Orleans Hotel in Las Vegas, we have.
So it's not in New Orleans. You mentioned New Orleans.
It's the Orleans Hotel.
Right here. Yeah, right. I got you.
Yeah, so just to correct that, but we have a full table of VA representatives specifically for special operations people.
Okay.
And claims that have existed back in the early 60s through modern day, our members are able to go up to that table, sit across from a VA rep, and resolve their claims on the spot.
Wow.
It's miraculous.
That's huge.
Yeah, and that's the type of organization it is. And I spend, even though I'm a chapter president in the Special Forces Association in Florida, majority of my volunteer time goes with these guys because the SOA, which I'm a part of now, very much so, is such a beneficial organization to our members. And editorially, I should mention, everything MACV-SOG and special operations right now is really in vogue for a lot of collectors and a lot of civilians. They're learning more and more about this organization. Ken may allude to this, but they're actually doing video games like similar to Call of Duty type of games involving MACV-SOG and Green Berets.
Wow.
We're the quiet professionals. We don't talk a lot about ourselves, so this is a great opportunity, especially with the launch of this pistol, to let ourselves be known.
So a big part of what you do, obviously, is cultivate relationships, like what we're doing right now between, LIPSEY'S and Smith Wesson and you guys. I mean, just kind of finding opportunities to help raise funds, raise awareness, and create revenue, for your members.
Absolutely. I mean, we are so honored that this came about when Andrew first called me, and we got along like we've known each other for years and like-minded in terms of it. And
he's really difficult to get along with.
Well, I had to learn.
Chill.
I had to learn.
He's a cool Australian. He's
I was going to say I had to learn.
He gives Australia a good name. Like I want to hang out with more Australians if they're all like this.
I ran a little bit with the Australian SAS, so I speak a little Australian.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
but Andrew's just terrific.
Yeah.
And the question is, what could Smith & Wesson do to enhance a relationship with Special Operations Associations? We've had a few false starts with this. And I could tell that this guy was really committed and Smith & Wesson was committed.
Yeah.
So the question then was, what platform and what do we do?
Yeah.
And like he said, we toyed with a few ideas, a few different platforms.
Right.
Ultimately found ourselves to this one, and then Lipsey's came in.
Yeah.
And the skies opened, the sun came out.
Yeah.
And what we agreed upon was, let's do something that's practical but representative of Special Operations and Special Forces. That is something that someone could do an everyday carry for, or show off.
Right.
Or both.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we achieved, I think.
We're so impressed with this, and a lot of insight, and I was uniquely flattered as the point person on this to actually have an active role on how it looked like. And Andrew would come to me and say, is the logo too big, too small? Is the pistol frame the right pistol frame? Is the color right? Yeah. Meticulously designed this handgun. Yeah. And it hit the mark, in my personal opinion.
It's a win for everybody, and I think, Doug, you mentioned at dinner last night. We really had a nice time at dinner last night. And
thank you.
What's important to you guys was to not just take but give, and I think that's how this has all really worked between all of us. Is a really cool project that is truly give and take. So everyone wins, members and the people that benefit from the SOA win for sure. That's what we want to do with this, and hopefully the future is bright on more of these projects.
Absolutely. I mean, I've attended now 2 of their reunions, and to be able to talk to all the members, to hear the stories, but also covering off on all the things they actually do to support the members and the members' families. Yeah. And to be able to give something, to do, to clarify, we are giving a donation for every gun sold. There is a donation made to the organization. Yeah. And that's critical. So I hope we sell crazy numbers of guns.
Oh yeah.
That means there's a lot of money going to them, and that's the objective here. Is actually. It was an opportunity to do something cool, but it was also an opportunity to give something back to these guys and their families.
And I'll just add that, the invitation by Lipsey to be in the booth during this launch is really exciting for us. We've got our pop-up banner with our logo on.
Yeah, come by. You guys are going to be here mostly throughout the week.
Absolutely.
So certainly anyone can come by, take a look at the gun. We've got them here, obviously. And ask questions, and it's really cool. I'm glad you guys are here and present for this. I mean, and remaining, I should say. Yeah. Just to share stories and some background and help promote the organization. Sure. Which also, you mentioned the website, but membership, John. How do people get involved? If you want to touch on that, or how can we become a member?
Well, let me begin with the most important thing from a business development guy.
Sure.
standpoint.
Yeah.
Right. Anyone can donate to our organization.
Right.
If you want to support the Special Operations veterans, their families, even active duty, it's very easy. You go to our website, specialoperationsassociation.org, and you can make a donation through the site. In terms of membership, obviously Doug spelled out kind of a thumbnail sketch, behind enemy lines, in the Special Operations unit. Our criteria for membership is on the website. One of the things that we're certainly trying to overcome is there was a misconception out there that this is just a Vietnam kind of fraternal organization.
Right.
We have guys that are still active duty
Yeah.
in Special Forces and Tier 1 units like CAG,
Yeah.
Delta, Ranger, a good buddy of mine out of the Ranger Recon company is a member.
Yeah.
He's recruiting some of his colleagues to join as well. So we have a plethora of the Special Operations people in this association. So if you are one of those units, doesn't have to be Tier 1, but Special Operations, go to our website, look at the membership criteria, and put in for membership. We'd love to have you. Our numbers are growing, not declining.
Yeah.
And the best part of it, what I noticed when I went to my first conference is, I was the kid, so to speak.
Right, yeah.
And these Vietnam Green Berets were there, which I idolized growing up and then ultimately became a part of it as a Green Beret. We sat down and we shared stories.
Yeah.
And it was reciprocal. They told their Vietnam stories, which I was unable to hear while I was in active duty.
Yeah.
And then they wanted to hear from me as well. So it was cathartic for both of us.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm so glad to be a part of this too. I love to hear some of the stories, some of the background, some of the history of this. The benefits that you guys are providing, I think is fantastic. We get is Jason still over here? We'll get.
Well, I might step out and let the general step in.
Okay, we'll do that. Yeah, we'll do that. I think Jason just got called away. Okay, Ken, we'll bring you in. He's enjoying his seat. So I said a minute ago, these guys have certainly seen some action, but standing at SHOT Show for 3 days is it's rough on the body.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Especially with some of us and our disabilities.
Yeah. I know you've done worse, but it's all right. There you go.
Okay.
Got it?
Hey, I'm good.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
All right, we'll get you. We'll move you into the mic a little bit. Perfect. That's great.
All right, great.
Oh, well, let's see. I have some notes here. I'm not going to go through the resume. We can touch on that if you want to.
Not
but
really.
I'll tell you what, it's vast and it's impressive. But really, from what I've learned in a very brief amount of time with you is you're a gun guy. You're a real gun guy. We were upstairs and we were kind of overlooking and talking about guns and you've kind of been looking around. I know making some of your rounds and hopefully get to see more of the show. But I did want to talk about that. You can talk. We'll recap some of your service though, if you want to do a Cliff Notes version of that and kind of your time and you've been around the globe. There's no doubt.
Well, thanks very much.
Yeah.
It's great to be here at Aim Higher.
Yeah.
No, I served with great soldiers. I served in Special Forces most of my active duty service time.
Right.
And Special Forces is a very small part of the Army.
Yeah.
But what's special about it is the soldiers.
Oh, yeah.
And it's folks like Doug and John, that make it all happen.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the assignments were many, but the constant was serving with great soldiers.
Yeah, that's amazing. We get into tell me what SOG. Let's what's SOG? Break that down for me. What's the abbreviation or what's the
I'll let you
Go
handle that
ahead.
one. Well, it's Mac v. SOG.
Mac v. SOG.
Yes, it's the actual, and it was a pretty antiseptic way of just, hiding the true nature of this mission.
I see. Yeah.
And it's studies and observations group. You can't. It's almost sounded like an academic librarian role.
Right.
And these guys were running missions over the border, or as they put it, across the fence into Laos and Cambodia on the Ho Chi Minh Trail to intercede on what was a pretty treacherous traffic from the North Vietnamese and the Viet Cong, supplying their supporting elements in South Vietnam to fight the U.S. Army. And,
real covert operations.
everything from hostage snatching to intelligence gathering to spiking ammunition. I'm taking away Ken's thunder because he's a rock star. But
he's very humble. He's very humble.
Yeah.
I didn't. He's like, hey, just call me Ken. Let's not. I was like, okay.
Well, I think John hit on a lot of the basic missions. There were others. There were psychological missions. How to play at the enemy's mind. A couple of projects. One mission, for example, we were given a bogus letter that allegedly was written in Hanoi to go down the Ho Chi Minh Trail and be picked up by the North Vietnamese. And the letter basically said how horrible things were, how bad the bombings were. Everything is terrible up here. And it was meant to play on the minds of an NVA soldier who would pick that up, read it, and then spread the information as soldiers do. So that had been prepared for us, and we dropped that off. The other were small AM radios that we just go ahead and we were given. They were preset to certain channels. And everyone thought they were getting a Radio Hanoi news broadcast.
Right.
But actually, no, it was coming from another source
Wow.
with tainted information.
Yeah.
So that wasn't pulling the trigger, but that was playing the psychological portion of the mission.
I know Ken won't mention this humbly, but you have to understand that the components of MACV-SOGs, they were recon teams, and each team had a designator, like RT Idaho, RT Arizona,
right.
Alabama.
Right.
And they would go in, but generally, and Ken, correct me on this, there was only 2 Americans in that component. The rest were Indige that worked side by side, hand in hand on this infiltration. Small group of guys, but they were up against infinite odds.
Right.
Because there was a bounty on their heads.
Well, I had that note right here, indigenous team members, the RT Idaho and Sidewinder. So,
well,
yeah, go ahead. Talk about
I was going to say, to build on that, yeah, the teams, and Doug, please add in. My team, only 2 Americans. The team leader, I was a 1-0, was the designation, and a 1-1 was your assistant team leader.
Right.
Only 2 Americans. The rest of my team, 8 Baru Montagnards in one case, and then my other was a Vietnamese team.
Wow.
And of 8 to 10 Vietnamese at one time, and 1 American and myself. But the teams were made up of ethnic tribes and Vietnamese. So there are different Montagnard tribes in Vietnam, if you would, as an American Indian, Native American.
Right, right.
So I had a Baru team. There were Rade, Jirai, Sadang, and our Vietnamese team and our Chinese teams.
The Nungs, yes.
The Nungs.
So this is to be kind of invisible?
Oh, absolutely.
You know, I mean, it's you're using indigenous people to be invisible, to just...
It was the ultimate covert mission.
Right.
Within special operations, and still to this day is the prevailing kind of heroic unit.
Right.
MACV-SOG, 120% casualty rate. It meant that each one of the Americans was injured at least once.
Wow.
And again, sealed tight, 20, 25 years, not allowed to discuss their missions, even with active duty special forces.
Yeah, yeah.
And to Doug's earlier point, that was the origin of the Special Operations Association, because they could talk amongst themselves, so they began to meet as a fraternal organization.
Wow, that's awesome.
And I think you can get a good insight into the missions if you go ahead and pull up and read the Presidential Unit Citation.
Yeah.
It finally was awarded after many, many years to SOG, MACV-SOG, and the veterans. And that citation will give you an example of all of the missions that were encompassed by the command.
Yeah, yeah. That's interesting. We'll have to dive into that.
When I served in 68, 69, the statistics were, we had some months where we lost 50% of our guys, 50% KIAs. The average wounds were, we were 100%, John says 120%, I would disagree with him, 100%, but we averaged 2 wounds apiece. I had 2 very small wounds. But people just disappeared into the jungle. They were found out and they were killed. And we were such a small group, we carried all kinds of weapons because we had to make a lot of noise if we were going to get shot at. I mean, we were heavily armed, 300 rounds of ammunition, grenades, different kind of weapons.
You were talking about this at dinner last night.
And because if we got in contact, we had to make a big noise, try to wipe out the other side, keep your own team alive, and call for help and get extracted because we were going to be overrun. And
you're essentially on your own, these missions. I mean, there's just no support.
We were out of radio contact all the time.
Yeah. Wow. Jeez. All right. Let's talk about the weapons a little bit. So let's get into that. I'm kind of interested.
Let's start with my team, and I'll turn over to Doug. But for myself, and most of my team members was XM177E2, the Car 15 by Colt.
Yeah.
5.56, compact, reliable, and really was the weapon of choice, primary.
Yeah.
Additionally, on my team, I always had one of my Indige team members carry an RPG-2, rocket-propelled grenade, Chinese, and a cut-off M79, 40 millimeter, which I also carried. and that was my backup secondary weapon.
That's the one you were talking about last night, where you immediate customization to that.
And Doug also had that, but that was a standard M79 grenade launcher, which we reduced the stock and the barrel, took the sights off.
Right.
And it was a basic instinct firing to break contact.
Yeah.
With the 40 millimeter high explosive round, it was tremendous for that. And you also had canister rounds if it was close contact and you needed it. So that Car 15 primary, cutoff M79 secondary.
Yeah.
And then occasionally, if I needed it, and thanks to my good friend Eldon Bargewell, my cutoff RPD Chinese machine gun.
Yeah.
Which had basically the barrel reduced, the sights off in the front, no bipod, and 100 round drums.
Wow.
We also carried a Swedish K with a silencer sometimes when the tail gunner would have that. If we were smart enough to see a bad guy and thought we could pick him off before the rest of his team, the rest of his group arrived. So our tail gunner typically would have a Swedish K with a silencer.
So I mean, you guys were loaded down. I mean, and that's some pretty aggressive terrain.
We were loaded down.
Yeah.
We had to be able to respond immediately with a lot of force. We had to knock the trees down and the other guys right away. Before we got overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So for my basic load would be 10 30-round magazines and 20 20-round magazines.
That's some weight.
It is, but I also had an Chinese AK vest, which I put 6 30-round magazines, 2 in each pouch, and then 2 canteen pouches with frag grenades in it, and 1 with 40 millimeter. And then, by the way, what took a lot of weight was your water.
Yeah.
Plus some smoke grenades.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff.
Wow.
And Willie Pete, white phosphorus.
Willie Pete.
Oh yeah.
I'm shrinking just thinking about how much we carry.
That was the ultimate break contact, and with a Claymore in your pack.
Right, the Claymores, yes, absolutely.
Wow.
I had to use Claymores more than once. They were very valuable.
Oh man, this is.
So the funny thing about it seems to be a prevailing weight load for special forces, because when I was in, we were in excess of 100 pounds.
Yeah.
So everybody wonders why we have back and knee issues. Well, there you go.
Yeah. No, absolutely. But every bit of it necessary. I mean, there's not much you could really shed.
No.
But the solution, unfortunately, over the years was get a bigger rucksack. which all the teams then filled up completely.
Yeah, of course.
And with the axiom, ammo first and always. And this stuff too.
So with the weight increase, the bigger ruck really it's not the best solution.
No, it was.
Well, Ken, what was your thought when you first caught wind of this project with us, with Smith and Wesson, and then maybe talk about the gun. We got to really check it out and get up close to it today. So let's get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, when I found out about the project from John, who's been working this, and Doug and I came in very, very interested in it. I thought, what a tremendous opportunity to showcase the history of SOD, the legacy of the soldiers, American and Indige. Through the Special Ops Association partnership with you all, with this Smith & Wesson handgun. It's tremendous. I think, again, the size, it's the ideal concealed carry.
Oh, yeah.
Why didn't you have this for us 50 years ago?
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll see what's next. We can only look into the future now, unfortunately.
But I think it's a great project in partnership because, again, it'll preserve and reflect on the history of the soldiers who served and of the unit, and the partnership, with the American public through you all and Smith & Wesson. It's a win-win. It's tremendous to stop and reflect and think about everything that was done and a tribute to them. And that's why I say thank you very much for you all taking this on.
Well, it's been a great project for all of us. I think we're all really happy with the outcome and the partnership. So, Doug, any thoughts, any last thoughts you wanted to add?
Well, I just wanted to thank you on behalf of our association for the partnership that we have formed. And when you listen to people like Ken and other senior leaders, they all talk about the team.
Yeah.
We had distinctive headgear, the Green Berets, but we're devoted to each other, devoted to the project, devoted to the mission, devoted to saving each other's lives, and it's a team effort. And we're so glad that you've joined our team to help the Special Operations Associations, its members, and its families. Thank you, and LIPSEY'S LLC, Rob, thank you very much.
Yeah, well, we're proud to do it. My dad was a Vietnam veteran, and I mean, I just, it's always been, my uncles, it's always been a part of my life too, being around these guys that are heroes like you guys. So we really, we appreciate it too. I'll let you close it out, John. What's your final thought here?
Well, I think Doug captured it all. It's about partnership. I call it family. And, we are so pleased that you're part of this family now, and we're a part of you and Smith & Wesson. And we're looking forward to not only the success of this limited launch, and another shameless promotion. Get them while you can, folks, because these things are hot. Based on the dealer reaction I saw in this booth, this is an extremely popular item, and it is further kind of the icing on the cake having that Special Operations Association logo on it, which we're thrilled about. So question is next generation after this success, and
we'll see,
where we can rock and roll and take this from here. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, we need a reason to go out to eat again, that's for sure. we had these enormous manly tomahawk steaks last night. It was fantastic. I really enjoyed that.
We took one for the team.
Oh yeah. It was a team effort.
It was rough.
It was. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much.
Thank you, Rob.
We appreciate it.
Thank you, Rob.
Yeah, thank you. And everybody, check out, hit the website one more time, John.
SpecialOperationsAssociation.org, O-R-G.
And that's also the Facebook handle, too, isn't it? At Special Operations Association?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay. And there'll be a link on there about, we're in the process now with our social media, splashing this release.
Okay.
So interested people can go there to our website or to our Facebook site to learn about the organization, or learn how to get a hold of one of these rare and unique handguns.
Absolutely. Thanks again, guys.
Thank you very much.
Hey, everybody, thank you, and until next time, aim higher.
Thank you.